Hello and welcome to the first episode of my podcast, Born to Sell. My name is Adil Hussain. I'm the founder of the Sales Coaching Academy, and I'm your host for today's show. Today's guest is someone whose sales journey I've had the personal privilege of watching from day one, from when they first stepped into the world of sales. You know, they had the drive, the hunger, the ambition. They may not necessarily have all the skills, but this is where the real story begins. So I've seen them grow from someone figuring out the basics to someone who now sells with confidence, clarity, and purpose. Today, we're going to unpack that journey, you know, the early challenges, the breakthroughs, the mindset shifts, and the exact skills that help them transform into the salesperson they are today. Now, if you're somebody who's at the beginning of their sales journey, or you're looking for inspiration from someone who's walked that path, this episode is going to hit home. So let's dive in. My guest today is none other than Joseph Siotene. He's a sales professional, a family man, a longtime friend. Joseph, welcome to the show.
Wow, that's an amazing introduction, Adil. Thank you very much. I'm very flattered.
And good to have you, man. It's certainly been a hot minute. You know, it's been a while since we've caught up, and I've always been a big fan of you personally, and your journey. And I thought, who better to call on the first episode of this podcast than Joseph?
100%. I'm super grateful to be here. So thank you for having me. And hey, let's do this. I'm excited.
Let's go. So Joseph, I'm going to open up a first question about your journey, right? So let's just take a step back from when, you started from humble beginnings. You know, we've had the opportunity of working together in the past as well. So take us back from the very beginning in terms of what you were like when you first stepped into the world of sales.
Sure, a very good question. For me, honestly, it really started when I was playing professional basketball. I'm a former professional athlete, and I always have that sort of a competitive spirit. I don't know if it's something that I was born with it or not, but it's always been part of myself, my mindset, my spirit. And actually playing basketball helped me, have that growth mindset, in the sense that every single day you need to strive to be better than you were yesterday, right? That's the mindset that kind of like part of like the foundation of my, how I view the world, how I approach any sort of, different professional situation.
Yep.
And it always gained me, to be honest. But then when I stopped playing basketball, I kept that fire in me, right? Before stepping into sales, very quickly, transition between basketball and sales. I was doing small jobs like customer service,
Yep.
or the fulfillment specialist. But it wasn't exciting enough, a deal. I wasn't really living my purpose.
Yeah.
It was very monotonous. It wasn't a routine that I was embracing, to the point that I realized that I had to transition.
Yeah.
So that's actually what led me into sales. So I started applying for really, really basic sales jobs, sales roles, such as lead generator, things of that nature. And I got fortunate enough to be hired by a marketing firm here in London, probably
Yeah.
10, 12 years ago. They were looking for a lead generator, right? And then coming into the role, I had no experience at all.
Yeah.
All I had was myself, my mindset, and my drive, and that inner fire that was kind of like activating, my spirit in a sort of way. So yeah, next thing you know, I convinced them actually to give me the role, so I actually get the job.
Yep.
Now here is me now stepping into my very first sales job, and it was quite something, to be honest. For me, it was the first. Transitioning now from customer service into sales was it was a completely different spectrum.
It's that old saying, isn't it, Joseph? It's sales is the ultimate default career path. So people don't actually set out from college, university, or it's, my dream is to be a salesman. People sort of stumble into sales when their first sort of career choices don't work out. But then when they discover, learning how to sell, the passion and the reward that comes with the profession of sales. It's like, oh, why didn't I think of this before? Or why wasn't this put forward as an option when I was growing up at school, college, at university?
Absolutely. This is a great point. I think sales should be part of a subject at school for kids to learn today, because it's an infinite game. It's a lifetime thing, right? And once you learn the skills of sales, it just change your whole perspective, right? So me now stepping into my first, sales role, I was a rookie back then, Adil. I mean, for me, it was mostly about understanding the transactional part of it. It's like selling is about having a seller, there's a product, there's the buyer, speak to the buyer in an effective manner to sell the product. And that was it.
Yeah.
Until I realized that it's a broader game than this. It's a bigger situation. There's a lot that comes into play when it comes to selling.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you. And I think a lot of people, be in customer services or other sort of other roles other than sales, that's a great launch pad to actually transition into the path of sales. I mean, I remember, as a student growing up, it seems like a lifetime ago, but I remember even during my retail sort of part-time job days, I used to love talking to customers on the shop floor. All the other boys would, hide their faces because they didn't deal with customers. I used to actually register because I discovered, if it's all about serving selflessly and helping a customer find a solution to a requirement, that's most of the battle done. And I discovered that I became very, very good at that. And then again, I stumbled into sales. So I'd say retail was probably my playground where I really sort of honed my skills and how to communicate with people.
Okay. So where to start with retail?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because retail, you're dealing with strangers every day. You're handling objections when something's not in stock. You have an irate customer come in about, I was sold this product, but it doesn't do this particular job. So you have to learn how to diffuse something. And so, you can sell something to a customer, then upsell some accessories along with a particular product. So I discovered I was very good at it. And a lot of people just think, well, if I'm doing a part-time job in a supermarket or a retail clothing brand or what have you, that's actually the best place to learn. If you're actually conscious about learning how to sell and, hone your persuasion skills and customer service skills. So, as a sales professional, you have to wear multiple hats. You're not just selling, right? As well as I do as a father, right? What kids really good at, they're really good at saying, Daddy, give me something, buy me this or buy me that. And they don't stop because they're persistent until they get something. They persuade you to get you something in the end, and it's the same thing with sales. If you look at a pastor or a religious leader, they have to influence and persuade their congregation. A parent has to do the same with a child. Every walk of life of society, we're selling every day. And just sorry to cut across, but if you say to somebody you're a salesperson, they're like, oh, sales is icky, I'm not a salesperson. Well, you sell every day, whether it's asking your parents for pocket money, you go to the cinema, you watch a fantastic movie, you come out of that and you say, you know what? Oh, you guys need to go and watch this film. It was fantastic, had these effects. This is what happened. Whether you know it or not, you've just sold the concept of going to watch this particular movie. Correct. So we're selling every day. And I don't think people sort of consciously clock on to the fact that they actually are.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, you said it all. It's actually part of our daily lives.
Yeah.
The whole perspective that you need to realize, you need to understand, you need to believe it, you need to speak it on a daily basis, right? And this is what we do. You mentioned about speaking to strangers. This is highly foundational. It's fundamental in the sense that transitioning from customer service to sale.
Yep.
The notion of stranger takes a different sort of perspective, because when you deal with a customer in a sort of way, you kind of know who you're dealing with. It's a service that you are offering. So in a sort of way, you kind of like what they call you have that KYC thing, that know your customer thing that you already internalized.
Yeah.
But then when you come to sales, this is kind of like what kind of one of the first hurdles that I had to overcome is that active engagement with the unknown.
Mm.
And it just inflicts that fear in you as a rookie in the game. This is, I think, for me personally, that's one of the first things that I had to overcome. Talking to a stranger in a way that you have to persuade them, right?
Yeah.
Establish that connection emotionally, building that rapport, get them to understand the value of what you're trying to portray.
Mm.
And it's a process, it's a workflow, right? They say you
Yeah.
get them from unaware to curious to interested, but that takes time,
Yeah, it
right?
does. It takes you got to have a thick skin, right? Because you have to
Yeah.
be able to, one, overcome your fear and be able to handle rejection. And look, I remember, I think lead gen is where a lot of people sort of start in the infancy of their sales careers. And I
Lead
worked for a
generation.
third party agency on behalf of this a blue chip tech giant. And I remember I was just going through the CRM. These are numbers. These are people I have to call, right?
Mhm.
And it said IT director, IT manager, senior CTO, and like my heart was literally in my throat, right? I was
Pound.
like, it was literally like that. I was like, oh my God, what do I know? What I'm, what am I talking about? What am I going to speak to them about?
There you
And
go.
the more times I did it, I think one of the gurus also said, I think it was Grant Cardone, but what happens is if you increase your skill set, your skills get, your skills are high, your fear goes down.
Yeah.
Your fear is high when your skills are low. So, it's that old saying, right? Practice makes perfect. And I remember the more I called, the better I got. And, again, that was another playground where I really honed, cold calling, speaking to
Yeah.
complete strangers and generating opportunities and smashing it. So look, thanks for the insight into, the opening of, how you sort of got into sales. And we know, look, sales is a tough profession. It's not
Mhm.
for the faint-hearted. I'm deeply passionate about sales, but it's also very cutthroat, right? It's a tough
Yeah.
profession. What would you say is like the biggest shock or the biggest challenge that you've had to sort of face early on in your career?
Um, just in the first place, the ability to overcome that fear.
Mm.
It stayed with me for a couple of years. But when I say a couple of years, I mean 3 to 4, 5 years, like early in my career.
Yeah,
That was the challenge that I kind of had to yeah, to get over. And that it takes a lot of work on yourself.
it does. Yeah,
It's like every single day is it's like you're looking for a challenges role, right? There you go, you got it now. So hey, now show me what you got, right?
yeah,
It's like that. And every single day is different, you know. So this is where you need to tap into your resilience,
yeah,
right? This is where you need to prove yourself on a daily basis to go and just go with the day and go over it
yeah,
and repeat, pick up the phone again, go through the rejection, learning that this rejection is actually not personal. They're not
yeah,
rejecting you, they're
yeah,
rejecting your offer, they're rejecting your product, right? And yeah, that was kind of like the main sort of challenge that I had to overcome, and it took me years to kind of understand and realize that hey, now you are in sync with yourself
yeah,
because you've done so many years repeating the same thing all over again. The same repetition is a matter of skill.
yeah, yeah,
You're right. And that's there's no other way around it. It's rough out there. That's why sales, it's not for the faint-hearted. If you are not cut with the right clothes, you cannot. I see people give up. I have many colleagues that are starting my sales career today.
yeah,
Let's say today I'm between 12 and 15 years into this sales game, and I'm
yeah,
still going. I have got many of my colleagues who kind of gave up already. They're doing the other stuff.
yeah.
And they're doing okay. They're doing well, right? Which is great. I'm not judging them because I know it's an uphill battle.
It
If you don't
is.
have that mental fortitude and I'm talking about on a daily basis perspective, right?
Absolutely.
Um,
Again, there's an old saying: if it doesn't, if it doesn't break you,
yes.
you just persist with it. You go about your day, And believe it or not, even for the listeners at home, whoever's watching, is even if you're at the beginning of your career or you're an aspiring sales professional, I've personally worked with seasoned veteran sales professionals.
Yeah.
Who even the thought of cold calling or getting in front of a customer petrifies them.
There we go.
To
this day.
So with sales, it's there are three parts of sales. If you look at a sale, right?
Yeah.
Particularly in software sales, which is we're sort of affiliated with. But if you look at the whole lead gen, business development, sales development piece, right? That's opening the door of the sale.
Correct.
That's a job in itself, and that can take weeks, months, even a year plus, etc. So you've opened the door. Now it's running the cycle. So many sales professionals, not all, but certainly many of the ones that I've worked with, they're very good at running with the cycle. So, you put your project management hat on, you're running demos with the solution dev team, you get a number of senior stakeholders involved from both sides. You're doing a mutual agreeable action plan of next steps and all that lovely stuff. And then it comes with the close. So you have the opening, the running of the cycle, and you have the close, but three very distinct skill sets. They're not one and the same. And I think a lot of people get lost with that. And so, as you said, repetition is the mother of all skill. Tony Robbins, famous orator, says the same thing. Is the more you do it, the better you get.
Yeah.
And if you want to be a complete and thorough sales professional, you need to be able to master all three elements of that whole cycle: 100%. Opening, running the cycle, and closing. Excellent. Thanks for sharing. And I'd echo that. I remember, the fear for me. And as you said, it does take a lot of work, to get over that. But I'm going to transition to my next point, and that's no one is actually born to be a sales professional. I don't think. You have natural people with a gift of the gab. They can talk really well. They're very smooth operators, etc. But I've also learned that you can learn how to sell. You can develop your sales skills. It's not something where you're just born with it. You can actually develop your sales skills and get better and better. Was there a moment when you realized throughout your career, at any point in your career, where, okay, sales is a skill that I can actually learn and get good at?
Yeah. Good point. Good question. I mean, like I mentioned at the very beginning, it's an infinite game.
Yep.
It's something that if you start, you embrace it and you do it for the rest of your life. If you're really passionate about it, right? For me, it's about having that growth mindset, getting into a perspective that I can be a better version of myself every single day, right? But in order to do it, you're going to have to learn the graft, learn the job, right? Learn all the parameters, the factors that you need to internalize to be a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
When I started generating my first meetings, you just have that sense of satisfaction that gains you, and it kind of like ignites that inner fire in you, and it gets you going, because it's hard work, right? It's like earning something. There's something about me when I approach this role. For me, it's like the financial compensation is second to the satisfaction that I get when I sign a deal.
Yeah. I
don't know, it sounds crazy. I mean, there's many purpose, there's many reasons for you to get into sales.
Yeah.
Even there's the financial compensation, the money. If you're good at it, you make a lot of money. But there's also a lot of mental aspect. And for me, that's very foundational. That's highly fundamental. It's like every single time. Even like today, I'm on a 360 role, like you mentioned. You have the opening, the negotiation, and the calling. I'm on a 360 role, right? But the satisfaction I get once I manage to earn a first meeting, for me, is off the chart.
Yeah.
That's the beginning of something. That's the beginning of the process. That's the beginning of, if you want, it's the beginning of sales cycle as well, depending on how, meaningful the conversation is in the first place.
Yeah.
Right. So the satisfaction for me is fundamental. And once I understand that process, that framework, it kept me going till this day.
Yeah, no, that's important. And
you get to learn.
Yeah, as you said earlier, to your earlier point, that everybody's motivated by different things. And it goes without saying, look, sales is one of the highest paid professions in the world. Okay. And it has probably one of the lowest barriers to entry. You learn it, you can develop your skill set, you can earn a lot. Of course, you can't be a sales. Well, there are many people who are sales professionals clearly because they want to earn a lot of money. Multiple six figures, they can do that. That's one aspect. But in addition to that, for me, one thing that really excites me, which I'm deeply passionate about. Obviously, you get the paycheck, etc. But the money just becomes the money. All right, that's the byproduct. It's the impact you deliver.
100%.
But nothing satisfies me more than coaching. So watching young, hungry individuals come on board.
Mm-hmm.
They may not necessarily have all the skills,
Yeah.
but I take them under my wing, teach them the skills, watch them progress, and watch them flourish. Like into a butterfly almost. Caterpillar to butterfly.
Yeah, absolutely.
That to me it brings me huge satisfaction because you're actually helping shape people's lives and future. So to me, that's it means a lot. Okay,
so just quickly to complete that point, and it's a wonderful point that you just mentioned here, and I'm glad you mentioned that. To me, the money is going to take care of itself. It's even more exciting when you kind of like don't expect it, and you open your page, you're like, oh my God, like that feeling to complete your hard work because it's something that you earned. There's nothing that can match that, right? That's why for me it's like I just embrace and trust the process. Right. I get that satisfaction in, and I know the money is gonna take care of itself. And that's kind of like my purpose in life is to help and inspire people. If sales can help me do that, then I'm a winner.
Absolutely. And this is another comment for the viewers at home, because in the profession of sales, you get paid on the impact you deliver, not necessarily the time. Right. So you're not getting paid on time. It's about impact and generating revenue for yourself or the company that you represent. Thanks for sharing that point, Joseph. And so just transitioning to skills, I guess. Obviously, you've got a wealth of skills and experience now over the years. What would you say is one skill that has changed everything for you? That you said, okay, well, I'm going to really invest in learning this one skill because it's opening many doors for me and it's paying dividends.
I love this question. Through my sales journey, I actually managed and learned to adapt because it's a journey, it's a process, right? And I understood that for me, communication is highly critical. It's vitally important. At some point, to be open up a little bit with you and be a bit vulnerable here, I noticed that public speaking was becoming something that I was struggling with. You work together, you kind of like sense that a little bit. Not because English is my second language, but it's just, you understand that it's something that has to be part of your skill set.
Yeah.
But now you need to do something to add stuff. So what I started doing, that was prior to COVID or right after COVID, I just started exploring online opportunities to see where I can practice my public speaking. Just be congruent with my mindset, my communication skills, and be more confident when I open my mouth and have conversations. And I came across that organization. Not sure if I'm allowed to mention the name. Shout out to them. So I actually embarked there on a journey. It was like a month sort of course where you go, you sit down, maybe in the city, like every Tuesday evening after work. From 8 p.m. to 10, like 2 hours once a week. So you enter a room, you sit down, it's about 10 of you guys, and they're gonna throw like subject themes at you, and you need to develop a 5-minute sort of presentation. You have to deliver it in front of the team. I did that for a month, and at the end of the process, there's the contest, right? To see who, just for you now to kind of like practice what you've been learning, to see, if you made any progress,
I love that.
The past 4 weeks. And I took the contest and I came out second. But it was one of the best delivery I've ever produced in my whole career. And this is for me like a turning point, like skills wise, because they teach you how to tell a story in a convincing and efficient manner. So storytelling for me is the skill that actually was missing for me to kind of just take my whole game to the next level.
Love that.
Once I was out of that course, I was a total different beast. I could speak to anyone. I go to events today. Every other week, I'm on an event.
Yeah.
I present, I deliver. I mean, I'm just now more comfortable with people. So if you understand, if you master that art of storytelling,
Yeah.
what I do today with my prospect is I take a use case and I just tell a story around this use case, or that case study, for example. If it's industry specific, I'm gonna pick a company that we help in that same industry, go on our website, pull out that case study, and just tell a story around it to that customer who is working in the same space.
Yeah.
And it's life changing. It's life changing.
It is. I've had an old sales director say something similar. He goes, if you want to sell something, tell a story. Learn how to tell a story.
Oh yeah.
And it's entirely true. And that's not to be manipulative or anything else, but it's, you have to have a framework behind, a narrative behind what you're trying to put forward. And also in terms of whether it's you investing in the skill yourself, or it's a company that's paying for it and investing that time for you. The process of investing and learning a skill. And if you look at first of all and foremost, it takes a lot of discipline to do that. To be really honest with yourself and really self-reflect, to say, okay, I'm good at this, I'm not really good at this, and I really need to put in the work and invest time, effort, energy, money, whatever, to get better.
Yeah.
If we look at today,
having the ability to identify your own weakness, a deal. That's
exactly
tough. Some people, they don't know their weaknesses.
Yeah.
No, they don't know if they're good at this, they don't know if they're good at that. Or sometimes when they say that it's manifesting itself, they just reject it. I don't want to deal with that. It's like me, for example, knowing that I wasn't good at it, and every single time, like, Joe, go and present this. No, I don't want to do it. That's how you reject your weakness. But it's not helping you. You need to take it in, do something about it, work on it, and just embrace the hardship until you get over it.
No, absolutely. And I think also when it comes to investing in skills, so if you look at what we do on a day-to-day basis, we're addicted to our phones, we are addicted to the latest gadgets, tablets, games. We're not shy of buying all the toys that we want, be it cars or what have you. But when it comes to upgrading ourselves, we've got to think twice. Do I want to invest in learning the skill? Don't want to, it's boring. Or I can't be bothered, it's too expensive. Comparative to what? We upgrade our phones every year or so without thinking. Our clothing, entertainment, you can go out and spend 100 quid on a nice dinner, go to the cinema, go to the theater, you do all these things with your family or yourself.
Yeah.
But when it comes to investing into a skill, be it the time, energy, resources, what have you, into learning something that can change the trajectory of your career and your life, we've got to think twice for some reason. I don't know what that is or why that is, but it's just human nature, I guess. I'd put it down to.
Yeah, but that's the foundation of sales.
Yeah.
I know people they have been in sales for over 40 years and they're still working on themselves. That's the beauty of this game. That's the way when I mention that it's infinite, and it's infinite because there's no one silver bullet. There's no one winning formula that you're going to implement and hey, all of a sudden everything just falls into place.
Yeah.
No, that's not how it works. So that's why it's not built for everybody. If you don't have that growth mindset, then forget it. No.
Yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I think we'll go into mindset in a sec, because that's obviously a key part of growth and development, particularly in sales. You have to have a growth mindset. How did you learn to understand people? Not just pitch, because I think a lot of people say, oh, selling is pushing products, and if you're a good salesperson and you're savvy, it's not the case. We're not product pushers. It's about understanding people and identifying where they have requirements and needs. So how did you go about learning to understand people? Sometimes I don't want to sort of overspeak, but I'm just saying, sometimes you get ghosted on email. Sometimes the person that you think you can pick up the phone to and give them a call, they're ghosting you, not taking your calls anymore.
Yeah.
So I guess it's the case of learning to understand people and how to sell to them,
Yeah.
as opposed to just saying, "Here's a product. Thank you very much. Off you go."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love this question. Very good question. Um, Listen, like for me, like I'm like it's the way that I was brought up, right? I'm part of the big family. It's 8 of us. So I grew up with a people with a quite large family, right? So which means dealing with people is something that I've been doing since I was little,
Yeah.
right? But now, from a sales perspective, everything changed into my mindset when I understood that I had now to transition, like the rookie was, from transactional to consultative.
Yeah.
This is a turning point here.
Yeah.
Consultative selling. This is what's going to help you be more customer centric. And very interesting fact here. I had to come up with an acronym to define what consultative selling is. And that acronym is ACET. I keep on saying that to my colleagues each and every time. And now they love it. I call it ACET, which is ACEET, right? So that's ACEET.
Okay.
Hear me out. The A here is authenticity, right?
Love it. Yeah.
You speak to a prospect. Why? Because those people, they get bombarded by different companies out there, different vendors. If you now show up, you turn up in front of them, even if
Mm.
it's in person or virtually, what's going to make you unique for them to be willing to listen to you? Authenticity. The
Mm.
C is credibility, right? Why should they trust you? Who are you for them to, dedicate some time and listen to you?
Yeah.
Why? What makes you credible, right? The first E now is expertise. That's more around your product knowledge. What do you know? How proven are you? Right? What value do you? What kind of value do you have to deliver for them to say, "Hey, that's the guy I should go with"? Right? How credible you are.
Yeah.
The second E, touching now to your point and answer your questions, is empathy.
Love it.
This
Yeah.
is where you implement your emotional intelligence, your ability to emotionally connect with your prospect, to release those invisible vibrations, to connect with them either virtually over the phone or in person, to listen to them, active listening. I go further, compassionate listening, right? Because when they talk to you, they open up to yourself, to you,
Yeah.
is showing any sort of vulnerability when they talk about their challenges, their frustration, their pain points, right? Now you need to sit down and listen to them. By doing this, you're establishing that emotional connection, empathy. And the T is trust, right? Why should they go with you? Why should they trust you? And it's something that you earned. You're going to earn that trust, right? So
I
that,
like that. I think we should drop that in the comments somewhere. I think once it's out on the socials, just drop that in the comment, that the acronym for that. But
yeah,
is that something you developed?
I did develop that based on the books that I've been reading,
Yeah.
the podcasts that I've been listening, the conversations that I've been having, the calls that I've been having with prospects, even. And yeah, since I started adopting that sort of concept of AC,
Yeah.
it is, for me, is the foundation of consultative selling, right? Being able to understand and connect with people. People
Yeah.
buy from people.
Love it. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't
Mhm.
agree more. But no,
Yeah,
I love the acronym. I'm gonna pinch that off you and use it. I'm
of
sure
course.
at some
I
point.
email it to you. I email it to you. So it's not a problem. And if you want a further breakdown, listen, I'm more than happy to do it. So it's not a
Yeah,
problem.
let's do it. I'm all in, man. I appreciate you. So Joseph, you've moved along quite nicely in your career. You've sort of lead gen, sort of BDR, SDR, selling, closing. You've pretty much done it all. What's one mistake that you made early on in your career that you see other beginners in sales make? So other inexperienced folk who are continuously making the same mistakes that you made early on in your career. Anything that you identify or spot?
That's a good question. That the answer might probably tied with the former answer that I provided, which
mm.
is a fundamental mistake, is to get into a pitch straight
Yeah,
away automatically once you if you establish a discovery call with a prospect, or even in a cold calling situation, getting automatically into a pitch and start talking about features. This is who we are. This is what we do. We're the best. We're the number one. We're leaders in
yeah,
that. It doesn't work anymore. People are still making, even me sometimes, I don't like unconsciously. I find myself talking about features, what we do, we're the best. Today, that's not how it works, because the prospect nowadays, they're so savvy and they
yeah.
hate being sold to. They hate it,
Really.
right? So start by that connection, start by understanding, learn from them, start by being very prospect customer centric. There's no rush, take your time. This is another person on the line, right? So listen to them, try to tune in the voice, the tone, the pace, right? Like you told me they're all blood, flesh, and tissue like you. So hey, listen, it's a human perspective first. And this is and those I'm seeing, even people within the business for over 20, 25, 30 years, they're still making the mistakes of jumping into a pitch straight away, talking about the features, boasting about them being number one, this and that. Um, yeah,
It's called the dreaded pitch slap, right? When you get on the phone to somebody or you meet somebody in person, and it's all about, the language is all about we are the market leaders, or we do
yes,
this.
correct.
It's not about, you're not focusing on how you can help the customer or the prospect, solve a problem. It's more about we,
Yeah.
and you're trying to build this pedigree, this picture that you are the best in class. But we're not, people don't even go through the basics in terms of, do you even have this problem? Oh, if so, how are you addressing it?
Yes.
And how can we help you solve it? Everything's about we. And so, yeah, that's a good observation. You'll be surprised. I think a lot of it comes from desperation. You catch somebody on the phone or you meet somebody at an event, and just the fact that they're in front of you, you're tempted to. Sometimes you've got to catch yourself and bite your tongue. You're tempted to start
Yeah.
rolling off the products, the features, the benefits, etc., without
Yeah.
asking the basic questions first. But no, I totally hear that, and I guess
Yeah.
I still hear that today, I guess, from some of the junior folks that I've sort of coached and still do coach.
Yeah, very true. And listen, even when you do in-person prospecting, you learn even more. You go into an event, there's 2,000 people. You work around, right? It's not everybody that's going to fit your ICP.
Yeah.
If you meet somebody like head of HR, you're looking for an architect or a CTO, you're not going to start talking about features into what you sell, what you do, because it's a different spectrum than what you are selling. You're going to have a conversation. What brought you here? How are you finding it? Is it your first time? Were you here last year? What are you looking to achieve? That's how it goes, right? You're not gonna say, "Hey, I'm working for this company. This is what we do." They're like, "Yeah, but that's not relevant to me." Hello, but it's the same. It's the same process. It's the same process. You don't sell a platform. You don't sell a cool cloud-based platform with many features. You sell a conversation first. That's the basics.
Yeah. It really is that trust rapport establishing.
Yeah. Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's like a building, right? If your foundation is weak, you can't build on it. You can't build a skyscraper on a weak foundation. So you have to establish that trust and rapport. Consultancies, that consultancy style of selling, as opposed to pitch slapping people. We're not. I don't want to say secondhand car salesman, because they actually do get some good secondhand car salesmen. But just to coin a phrase,
I know. But also, like, some of the best calls that I've been having, and it's something that I've been implementing quite lately.
Yeah,
is to jump on a discovery call without showing any slides.
Yeah.
There's no point to share my screen with, hey, they all do that. Speaking of authenticity, that's how you make yourself different. Have a conversation, try to generate some values, but the purpose here, the objective is to understand them, what they do, what they're looking to achieve, what are the pain points, what keeps them, awake at night, those sort of things, and then try to establish an alignment and a fit. And then once you generate that sort of level of curiosity, then take them to the next steps. You can show them more, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And I've seen many folks in the past, they lead with demos. And so the customer or the prospect turns up onto a call expecting to see something, and you're leading with a demo, but you haven't established, what the requirements are. Is there compatibility? Do they have a budget, or what that number looks like? All that kind of stuff. So basic qualification and discovery is asking deeper questions about the problems they have, and then addressing whether you're in a position to actually fix it or not. Not necessarily leading with just a demo. But no, good point. So Joseph, going back to the early days of you and I, we worked together for a particular company, software company. I won't mention the name. Had a lot of fun.
It was fantastic.
Generated some fantastic logos along the way, closed some fantastic deals that got over the line. So you and I, we worked together in the early sort of journey of the career. What do you remember about some of the coaching sessions that we had together?
Oh, I love this question. Everything started a deal. I don't know if you remember this. When one day, I think it was some of my very first calls, and I was playing that game of recording my calls. And I remember some of the first conversations that I was having. I was recording those, and I picked one of those and came to you with it. This is when everything started, because I'm like, oh, that seems to be all right. Let me just go to my manager and let him check it out. and I brought that call over to you. You listen to it, and you look at me like, right. We need to arrange some time, to go through a few bits and pieces.
That was me being polite.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And you took me upstairs. We started smashing the phones together, and then before we start calling, you told me something that stayed with me to this day.
Yeah.
It's not what you say, it's how you say it. This, till this day, Adil, I can't thank you enough for that. That one single sentence, right? It's not what you say, it's how you say it. You're speaking to a prospect, they're all blood, flesh, and tissue like you. Take a deep breath, relax, and you're going to make a difference. That one piece of advice changed my whole perspective, right? And then this is when I started to figure it out.
Yeah.
To this day. And that was the beginning for me. That was the beginning. That was a pivotal moment in my sales career.
Yeah. And I think, I appreciate the vulnerability, Joseph. And I think, a lot of people can benefit from that and learn from that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think sometimes people get so hung up on scripts and reading everything word for word.
Yeah.
They forget, they're not robots. Saying what you need to say is one part, but the delivery in terms of, your tonality, your expression, the pace, the fluctuations in your voice, that's equally important. And sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. That's what captivates people. So I'm glad that resonated and it stuck with you. Clearly, you've done really well, since then. And I remember your calls got a lot better. We did some role plays as well.
Yeah. I needed that. I definitely needed that. That's the thing. Like, communication is really key. You need to open up. You need to communicate. I would have kept that call for myself. I think probably I wouldn't be in front of you today.
You know what? It's I'll share with the audience. Just because we're vulnerable. So Joseph was doing fantastic. Well, one thing I cannot fault Joseph for is his never say die attitude. And from my perspective, I can always coach someone who has a positive attitude. It's not the ability to say whether you have the talent or not. If you don't have the right attitude, I can't work with you. But you are somebody who said, never say die. I'm willing to learn. Show me the way. And based on my experience and what I knew, I'm not saying I'm the guru of the world, but based on what I knew that I saw the potential in you, and I can offload these skills onto you, and you can sort of use them and definitely change what you're doing things at that time.
Yeah.
And so just for the audience's benefit, so Joseph came in, we worked together at this particular company. He struggled early days, and I've done in other organizations, I'm sure, in the infancy of my career as well. But within those 2 years, he just rapidly turned everything around to be a superstar. I don't want to steal his thunder. We can go into accolades, awards, and stuff like that later on. But just for the audience's benefit, just implementing a few subtle changes just changed everything. And so, looking back at that journey, Joseph, what would you say in the early part of that training really accelerated your growth?
It's the persistence, it's the resiliency, it's the willingness to go home, come back, and do it again. It's that go-getter attitude, that not giving up energy.
Yeah,
I always had, and that goes way back to me being an athlete, a competitor, right? But then you realize that in sales, the competition has a different perspectives, because you're competing against yourself first. Before it does manifest within your company and get the accolades and that, but the competition starts with yourself. And that's something that I managed to internalize, and it's been foundational.
No, and so that leads beautifully onto my next question. In fact, so look, growth mindset has always been core, for us. We've worked together, and so we discussed that sales is tough, and you have to have a strong mindset. But what was the one mindset shift, or one mindset sort of skill that you picked up from us working together that you still use today?
Oh, that's actually a really good one. In terms of mindset skills, that I might go back to the repetition thing, to be honest, Adil, because that's just the essence of what we do, right? Every single day, you hit the phone, but also understanding that when it comes to prospecting, the phone is actually probably the main primary avenue to get quick conversations and meaningful meetings, because people are still scared of the phone till this day. Me, like, even in the 360 role today, I cannot spend one day at work without picking up the phone. And then you remember, you were really, really highly critical on that. Picking up the phone and have conversations. That's the difference maker.
I was a big advocate of throwing you guys onto the phones, because it still happens today, till this very day, because we're living in the age of drive-by selling, where everything is digital, right? LinkedIn, fantastic platform for all intents and purposes. You got email, people are pumping out hundreds of emails, etc. But anything that requires somebody to sit behind a screen, fire something off without really feeling the fear of speaking to somebody, like getting in front. That's why I've always been a big advocate of pick up the phone, have that conversation. What's the worst that's going to happen? Video, be comfortable being uncomfortable. Get yourself on a LinkedIn video, on an email video, send it over. And what that does is, I've always said to, even the BDRs and sales development inside sales teams that I've managed, is the number one thing that you're competing for, even as a sales professional, 360 closing, is attention. You're competing for attention. So if you're pumping out hundreds of emails, as is every other Joe Blogs for every other vendor, you're just one of many. So you need to find a way of sticking out like a sore thumb. Again, it's a mindset shift, and say, okay, I'm daring to be different. I'm daring to go against the grain and do something that a lot of folks aren't doing right now. And I'm going to put myself forward. And before you know it, you start generating opportunities. And building relationships.
Absolutely, Adil. And speaking of one thing that I actually learned, that's actually probably the better answer to your question. is the video thing, because I started making my first videos when it comes to prospecting was with you, right? Remember we were using that platform called, I think it was Big View. Not sure if I'm allowed to say the name, a Big View or something like that.
Oh yeah, Big View, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And those were my very first videos. And today you realize that moving on into other organizations, nobody was doing videos. And they're missing out on a big chunk of the market because it's so engaging. It's a difference maker. It's so different in a sense that if you master it, you're going to make some tremendous kind of like results. But people are not comfortable, so probably recording them themselves. And also, when you do it through LinkedIn, you only have 60 seconds. You need to be very, very clear, work on your pace, get straight to the point, and be clear in what you say, and also your intention as well. Yeah. So it's 60 seconds, but it's actually a lot that comes into play. And if you are not used to doing this in a sort of way, which takes a lot of practice, you're not going to be able to carry. And it's a skill. When my former manager saw me do it, he's like, yeah, can you teach the team how to do it? You were sitting down in a boardroom, and I was trying to put my phone and teach them back. Nobody was able to go through it. It's actually tough. Or me today, I just pick up my phone and I got, listen, boom, done. Yeah. You know? But that's one thing that I learned with you that kind of sticks with me to this day. And it's a major difference maker.
But even if you see it, I mean, this was like pre-COVID days. This is going back a long time.
Oh yeah.
But even if we look at now on like Instagram, I'm guilty. I'm not fantastic at the socials. I don't invest too much time on them. But if you look at how people consume content, if you look at my kids, YouTube Shorts, or shorts on TikTok, or shorts on Instagram, or Reels, and so people are more privy to watching something which is short, engaging, rather than reading paragraphs of content. So if you can cut through all that digital noise and send something that's really pointed, gets to the point, is direct, addresses your prospect, and you're offering a solution that solves a challenge, why not fire off? You'll stick out like a sore thumb, and you'll get more attention than all the other folks that are trying to compete by just sending out emails.
100%. Speaking of that authenticity concept that I was mentioning at the beginning, this is part of it.
Yeah,
this is part of it, right? And also today, like, you just need to have a framework. You don't need to be scripted.
Yeah.
You don't need to be scripted. There's so many AI machines now out there that people are using, so prospect can read through this, right? So all you need to do is to look at the LinkedIn, look at the scope, the framework, what they're working on. Everything is now listed on LinkedIn. You take bits and pieces here, and you just personalize your outreach in a 60-second video. You get a response. It's plain and simple.
It's quite amazing what you can do with some of the tools these days, and I don't want to open up a can of worms and start talking about AI. I think that's a podcast in itself.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, there's so many things out there that empower you and enable you to do some fantastic things with minimal effort. So, thanks for sharing that. I think that's a good takeaway for some of the viewers to be bold, get yourself in front of the camera, send some voice notes, video, emails, and sort of stick out like a sore thumb. Stand out from the crowd.
Absolutely. And then make sure you have a nice stream, and and you'll be good.
Yeah. Awesome. So, Joseph, based on the maturity of your skills, what you've achieved to date, as your skills grew, how would you describe what that did for your confidence?
How would I describe that? It was tremendously effective, tremendously. I'm really, really grateful to be in the place I am today, because when you get into a situation like where you feel fully comfortable with yourself, your energy, that every single day, because to be honest, Adil, a couple of years ago, every day you wake up, that resiliency, it ties with fear, because oh my God, I'm going to have to go through this again. Oh my God, I'm going to get rejected. Am I going to be able to have an impact today in the company with my prospects? This is gone now. This is gone now. every single day when I wake up, I try to own my day,
Yeah.
right? And always in the perspective of getting better. So I have now a clearer view of what I'm looking to achieve on a daily basis, but also in the long run as well. Because I know that I've been learning a lot, and I've been gaining a lot of wisdom, business acumen, executive presence around that self journey. So I'm fully comfortable now. I'm not saying I'm a guru. No, like I mentioned, it's an infinite game, so it's always going to be a journey. But
Yeah.
today I'm in a much better position when it comes to being out there and then go after the market and then have conversations and just being a force multiplier.
As you said, yeah. So confidence in selling comes from competence, right? So the more you know about your subject matter, the more you do it, the better you get. And then again, your skills go up, your fear goes down. You just get better and
Yeah.
better. And
Beautifully said.
yeah, and I see that in you. You're a changed person from when you
Oh,
walked in the
wow.
door.
I take that as a compliment. Thank you.
You've done fantastically well, Joseph. I'm really, really proud of you, and I'm really shared to be sharing this platform with you as well.
Yeah.
Really honored to have you as a guest here. So last couple of questions before we wrap up. Sincerely
Sure.
appreciate your time. But if we fast forward into the future, what's the next level that you'd be aiming for? What does success look like for you?
For now, I'm just trusting the process. I'm glad to kind of see like some of the effort I've been generating to invest in myself are coming into fruition.
Yeah.
I'm very much now much comfortable in a sales role, progressing now into an account executive role, which I'm embracing. And then I'm just trusting the process. But the one thing that is going to keep me going is I'm very optimistic about my journey. I know something bigger than this will come for sure. We'll probably tomorrow, anytime, next week, next year, 5, 4, 3. I don't know, but something is coming because I can sense it because I'm on a perspective that I'm investing in myself and I'm seeing that it's bearing fruits, right? So now, slowly but surely, we're getting there. As per my vision in the future, why not? I mean, I'm you know, I'm not gonna say like I'm a visionary person, but if someday I can establish a business where I can teach back, and help company achieve and improve their bottom lines, why not? Why not? Because that's my purpose in life is to help and inspire people. So
I love
yeah.
that. And one, I've got no doubt you're going to reach, the highest of heights. I know that from personally working with you and knowing you personally as an individual. But two, obviously, I think that quest and that hunger for more, that entrepreneurial bug is starting to kick in. So I've got no doubt if you do pursue that avenue, you're going to be massively successful doing that too. All right. So last question, I guess, final question as we look to wrap up the first podcast on Born to Sell. So final question for you, Joseph, is what advice would you give for someone who's just starting out in sales?
Is to be willing to learn and hungry for success.
Yep.
Success goes for the company. Success also goes for yourself. And don't forget, as a salesperson, you have two hats. From your company's perspective, you are an opportunity maker, right? You're here to generate business opportunities. But from a prospect perspective, you are a problem solver.
Yep.
You are a trusted advisor, right? I like to call myself a consultant. And that's what works for me. Anytime I go into a show or talking to people on the street or I'm socializing, what do you do? I'm a business consultant.
Essentially, that's what we are, right? So,
Yeah.
you give them the best advice.
Be a consultant, I would say.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. And so for all the aspiring salespeople who are looking to start their journey or learning to sell, timeless advice from Joseph there to conclude the podcast. But Joseph, look, such a powerful conversation. And what I love about your journey is it's just how raw and how real it is. you didn't start with natural talent, neither did I, nor do many people. But you started with a willingness and a keenness to learn, and that's what a lot of people overlook. Because that's, I think, the bedrock of establishing a successful career in sales. Now, so sales isn't about being born confident; it's about learning the skills, putting the reps in, as you said, and committing to understanding people. And your story is proof of what happens when you do exactly that. So personally, Joseph, I just want to say, look, hats off. Personally, look, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. To everyone that's listening at home or wherever you are, if you're at the beginning of your sales journey, take this episode as your reminder. You are capable of far more than you can think. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much. Good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Adil. Take care. Bye.